From being predicted to flop miserably to eventually becoming some of the most important members of the Avengers, the Guardians really had to prove that they had it in them to succeed in the MCU. Not only did they do that, but they did so with every movie they released. And Chris Pratt has let out just what he feels about those who doubted him. When Guardians of the Galaxy was first announced, critics weren't all too sure about the project. But of course, they were wrong.
Don't forget where we came from.
The movie isn't just loved by fans, but has also been a commercial and critical success. And now that the third installment of the Guardians of the Galaxy is close to its release, Pratt is looking back at his journey with pride. Sure, he isn't vindictive, but he does have clips and recordings of critics who expected the worst saved on his phone, all so that he could read them out at the end of filming, to prove how wrong their haters were. None of the negative things they said were true, it turned out. Guardians of the Galaxy had a great run, and Pratt felt very emotional about the success they had attained in the past decade. He's just grateful about Gunn being the one chosen to direct the movie, and grateful for having been given this job in the first place. Everyone who thought that Guardians of the Galaxy would be the first Marvel movie to flunk, how does it feel to be so wrong? Gunn brought characters that weren't well known, hired actors who weren't as popular as the rest of the Marvel guys, and still made each one of them a household name. If you think about it, with so many odds stacked against them, the doubts seem sensible. Let's face it, the obscure characters in Guardians weren't nearly as popular as Iron Man or the Hulk. Instead, they were just weird. A ragtag team that consisted of a man who was kidnapped from Earth, a bright green assassin, a huge blue alien incapable of sarcasm, not to mention a raccoon and a sentient tree. What about this sounded like it would work? Well, it did to Gunn, because he was able to tell one of the best stories in Marvel. So much so that we were all completely invested in each one of the members' stories. And who can forget just how important they became to the Avengers plot as well. While the original Avengers were the main members of the franchise, the Guardians of the Galaxy had a huge role in it. Star-Lord, Mantis, and Drax were on Titan with Iron Man and Doctor Strange. In fact, many still can't get over Star-Lord's role in letting Thanos go. Then there was Zoe Saldana's Gamora, who was basically the key to getting the Soul Stone.
Bro, you should try to be more nice to people.
And finally Nebula, whose shift from evil to good may be one of the best we've seen in a movie.
I'm hungry. Have you say that you're rude?
No, it's not ripe yet, and I hate you.
In Avengers Endgame, both of them have an even bigger role than they do in Infinity War, as they work together to bring down their father. And who can forget the role the Guardians played in Thor's life? That's why they also have a brief appearance in Thor: Love and Thunder 2. After such an amazing run, Gunn is focused on ending his trilogy with Marvel with the third installment. What will happen to the Guardians after the movie? Whether they'll still be a part of the Avengers, who knows? But I do know that the actors are surely set for life, and the movie was a success for everyone involved. Pratt waited until the final installment to tell all his critics that they were wrong, but he could have done so after the very first movie, when the movie about a group of nobodies earned a staggering $777.3 million worldwide. Not bad for a film with no A-listers. Of course, the second part fared even better when it earned $863 million worldwide, once again exceeding expectations. The actors have done well too, with Zoe Saldana becoming the only actor to be in $2 billion franchises.
Nebula.
I was a child like you. I was concerned with staying alive until the next day, every day. And I never considered what Thanos was doing to you.
Well, Dave Bautista proved that he may be one of the best wrestler-turned-actors ever. And finally, Chris Pratt, who is not only probably the only Guardian sticking around for the next phases of Marvel, but also on his way to star as Mario in the Super Mario Bros. Movie. The franchise has proved that each actor was really a star in their own right, and not as obscure as critics once thought. So, what can fans expect from the final movie? Let's see where the Guardians were left when we last saw them. The band of misfits was still reeling from the loss of Gamora, arguably the glue of the group. So it's not going to get easy to move past her loss after she was killed off by Thanos in Avengers: Infinity War. On the other hand, Nebula and Mantis have joined the group officially. Of course, in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, no one looks the same. You'll remember the young and kind of annoying members of the team in the first movie, but they've grown up. They're more mature, at least I hope, and they look like superheroes now. We know that filming wrapped in 2022, and the movie is set to release in May of 2023, which is good because we don't have to wait too long for answers. But we do know that Volume 3 will be the last installment in the franchise.
He didn't want to make things perfect.
Gunn loves the crew and cast, but he's moved on to bigger things, such as becoming co-CEO of DC Studios. And he's not the only one who isn't returning. Neither is Dave Bautista. Turns out, the wrestler found it incredibly hard to sit for makeup for long hours. And while he's grateful for the role of Drax, he's also relieved to be leaving it behind. Not to mention, Drax is usually the butt of the jokes, so he's not really excited by the prospect of playing the dub guy again. He's now focusing on landing more serious and dramatic roles.
Playing with the last Bavarian.
It was one time, man.
Spare me your foul gaze, woman.
Why is this one here?
Cease your yammering and relieve us from this irksome confinement.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with the walking thesaurus on that.
Now that the fans know what the cast is up to, what do I know about the plot? A synopsis gives us a little bit of information about what to expect from the movie. It explained how Quill is still dealing with Gamora's loss.
I thought I lost you.
But some events will require him to get his team together to protect one of their own. Otherwise, he may risk losing everyone else on the team as well. That sounds heartbreaking if you ask me. It already sounds probable that Drax will not return because Bautista has no intention to do so.
Against Ronan.
Put it down, you fool. You'll destroy us all.
Or just you, murderess!
I let you live once, princess.
I am not a princess!
Hey, we're stuck together.
But what about Gamora? We know she made an appearance in Avengers Endgame because she came in from a different timeline. But Zoe Saldana also felt the same way about the movie as Bautista did. She had told in style that not only was it a pain to sit in the makeup chair every morning, which played havoc with her skin and face, mind you, but not being able to get scripts in advance because of Marvel's strict rules didn't make matters easier. So whether or not she returns remains to be seen as well. For now though, she's in the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and has no memory of ever being in a relationship with Quill. So that'll be fun. Also, there are flashbacks of characters, some cool battle sequences, and the classic funny banter between the Guardians. Apart from that, fans will have to wait for the movie's release to know more. But then again, Marvel likes it that way. Just ask Saldana. And that's all I know about Pratt slamming critics in his farewell speech.
As I wanted all things. Now let's put more of this liquid into our bodies. What percentage of a plan do you have?
You don't get to ask questions after the nonsense you pulled on.
Gamora?